already tried taking the manifold off and I broke one bolt. This was prior to me pulling the head. I broke 3 more off, so we've got 4. Half of them broke. So rubber mallet. You can see how heavy this thing is. All right, so we've got, yay, no, shoot. Those 2 probably won't be a problem. We'll heat them. I bet we can get those out. This one and that one are gonna be a pain. We'll weld them, I guess, weld a nut on them and see if we can get those out. And let's check, make sure our manifold's good. Our gasket was blown out here and it had been blown out here. So let's make sure it did not damage the manifold. The head looks okay. Let's make sure it didn't like torch a hole in it. No. I kind of think it blew out maybe when I first got it running. Now it still feels good. So we'll check it, make sure it's still flat. I'm not getting it surfaced or anything, but that may determine what gaskets we run on it. The original gaskets, I think, were just this heat shield, which I have. I bought a set, but I also have, well, now I've got 2 sets of manifold gaskets. I bought a set, and then my gasket set came with the set. So we'll see. We're definitely going to run the heat shield one, but we may run the other thing with it. We'll see. But I want the heat shield to help protect the plug wires. All right, we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Taking a look, I mean, it all looks good. I don't see any issues, to be honest, with 2 or 3. And just a quick look, I don't see any cracks or anything. Heads look to be in good shape. I don't know what that is, but probably just a casting flaw. So, man, let's see. Head gasket was good. Between these, wasn't like they were blown. And we got some nasty gunk in the coolant passages, but that's, I guess, to be expected. Yeah. We had no head gasket issues or anything. I didn't think we did. When I had this cylinder compressed, I pulled the radiator cap and just made sure we had no bubbles. All right, so to be honest, I just took a little wire brush and went over this a little bit, and you can see just a little bit of pitting. It's hard to tell, but it doesn't look that bad. You can definitely tell over here. I don't think it was sealing. But you can see some pitting up in there. See that? But really, it's not that bad. Now, the valve itself, cleaned it up, and it looks pretty decent. You can see like a little bit of gunk buildup right there. See that? That could have been an issue. I think that's some rust and stuff. Probably transferred from the valve seat, you know? And so I think what we're gonna try to do, I'm just gonna hit it with some coarse lapping compound, just a little bit, and see what it does. See how it looks after that. And if that gets it, I'll just lap them. If not, I'll grind them. I'll have to see if I've got a grinding stone that big. But trying to avoid grinding them, so we're going to start with lapping, and we're going to try to use this valve. I've checked it. It doesn't seem like it's tulipped. It doesn't seem like it's bent. You know, I don't see any bend in it running it. And I don't see any issues with trying to use it. I mean, it's no burnt spots on it. It just has a couple of those spots that I think coarse grinding compound will take out. All right, quick pass with coarse valve lapping compound. You can see how much it's already improved. I think one more pass with the coarse and another, and probably 2 passes with the fine. We'll see. That may do it. Similar with the valve itself. You can see a little bit, but you can see we're getting a nice pattern with just a little bit of imperfections. So I think 1, maybe 2 times with coarse. I think we're just going to try one more time with coarse, and then probably do it twice with fine. When I say do it twice, I pretty much go until you can hear the change, like where the stuff is kind of worn off or worn away. The compound, you can tell it's not cutting as much, and then I call it there. So and that's what I'm doing it with. I bought this thing a while back, love it. No making campfires with your rolling of the valve lapping thing. Just run it with the drill. It switches directions. You know, it's not like chucking it straight up in the drill or something and just spinning. It does, you know, it pretty much does it like this. And then I just pick it up, and then you hold this, and that's what makes it go back and forth. So it goes like this. And if you let go of this, it turns. So I'll lift it up to where the valve's not grinding, let go for a split second, latch back on, and then put it down. And that rotates the valve. So you're grinding it in a bunch of different spots. So I just keep doing that, and it works great. So I'm gonna work on this some more. So here we go. I've got these 2 done. These are our 2 problem valves. I ended up using the new valve there. I started lapping it with the old one. There was pitting on the seat and the valve, and I just was not happy with the valve. It still has some pitting, you can see right there, and a little bit there, little small specks there. And I lapped it really more than I wanted to, and it was still there, but it was still on the intake as well, or on the seat as well. So we used our new intake valve. We got a good pattern on it. Our valve seat looks good, no pitting left. What I say is when I lapped it, what I mean why blah blah blah. What I mean when I say I lapped it more than I wanted to. If you look right there, we're starting to get a little line there where that's the top of the valve, so it's not lapping right there, you know. And so it created a little bit of a line there, which is not good, but for our purposes, it's going to be fine. The only way I could get around that is I'd have to grind the seat, which I'm not doing that. I don't even think I have a stone this big. This one's good. The valve had no pitting on it, and the seat had a little bit of pitting, and I just hit it once with the coarse, and I think twice with the fine, and it cleaned up. So number 3 is good. I'll go through, I'm gonna number these 2 valves. I mean, I don't think I'll ever get them mixed up, but once we take all the valves out, there could be a chance. So once I'm done lapping them, I like to number them. So that's what we're gonna do. And this one, I say, is trash. But yeah, these came out well. I'm happy with that. Try to set y'all up and show y'all one. All right, we're on first one, or we're gonna release this one. It's actually number 4. And let's see, we're gonna try it. If it's stuck, we will have to beat on it a little bit. Nope, not stuck. Easy peasy. Take a little pick, get the keepers off, and release. And this thing works great. It's got a ton of mileage on it. All right, they're all loose. Let me get busy cleaning them up, lapping them, grinding them, whatever I need to do. All right, so middle 2 cylinders are done. Ended up having to grind. The exhaust valves are in rough shape, really pitted, but the seats are in good shape. So ended up grinding these 2 exhaust valves, and I think I'm gonna have to do these as well. I'm trying to avoid grinding any of the valves, nothing against it, but you can see it's pretty rough. The intake valves look good on these, on number 1 and number 4. So lapping should get that. The valve seats are not the best, but I don't think they're any worse than number 2 was, and that one came out. But the valves are in better shape than number 2 was. We could have gotten by with grinding number 2 intake, but yeah, we replaced it, and we could have ground it, but we'll save this one. Just a quick hit on the valve grinder and it would be usable, but since we've already got that new one lapped in for number 2, we're going to use it. So I'm going to go take number 1 and number 4 exhaust valve over to the valve grinder and grind those. Did a video on that, so I'm not going to repeat that, but we did a video where we kind of, I'm not going to say refurbished, but we got my valve grinder into usable condition. So we're going to take these 2 over there, grind them, and then I'll lap them all, or we'll lap it 1 and 4. Number 2 and 3 are ready to go. All right, we are ready to lap them in. Freshly ground, no pitting left in them. Like I said, the intakes should clean up. They look good, but I tried one of the exhaust and it didn't clean up. I think it was number 2, and so I ended up grinding it, and I don't think the other is going to clean up without grinding, so that's why I ended up grinding all the exhaust valves. So we'll lap these in and then we'll be done. So in my parts washer, we've got the head, and I've got it pretty well cleaned up. I'm going to give it one last scrubbing. It's actually been soaking in here for a couple hours, and hidden in with all the other stuff is valve springs, push rods, rocker arms, all in here. The small stuff is in that little basket, and we're letting it all soak. So I'm gonna stir all this stuff around, give the top of the head one last scrubbing, and then I'm gonna pull the head out. I'll leave everything else soaking, but I need to get these exhaust manifold bolts that are broke out. And to be honest, I probably should have done that before I cleaned this thing up, only because now I got to put a torch to this thing, and this stuff might be slightly flammable, so I probably need to brake clean it off, which will then cause it to flash rust, so I have to spray it down after I do that. But anyway, the stuff I run in my parts washer, and you get some more, it's getting a little low. Also probably need to drain it and clean it, but it's this stuff. Some good stuff. It can get pretty nasty on your hands, so just be careful. So yeah, works pretty good. Wear gloves. Don't let it get on my hands. And if you get a hole in your glove, you don't realize, and you get that stuff in your glove, it burns after a little bit. You will know shortly. All right, let me continue on. Oh man, I've been working on this for forever. So 3 of the bolts I got out. Well, I think it was these 2. Yeah, these 2 I got out by just heating and putting vice grips on them. And I think it was this one. Tried welding a nut and it was just breaking off. So what I did is I just welded a blob on it. Just kept doing little tacks and built it up to where like it was like a bolt sticking out. Once I did that, it still wouldn't come out. So after the weld cooled a second, I then put heat around it, got it glowing red hot around here, and got it out. Several tries and finally got it. This one kept doing it, and it would not budge. Not even thinking about it. Just kept breaking off the weld, and it just kept, and this was putting some pressure on it, and that was welding on it, then getting it glowing hot, and then it still wouldn't do it. This thing, there was no way that was coming out. So I drilled it and retapped it. And so drilled it, kept getting larger size bits, then chipped away the threads. I thought once I drilled it most of the way out, I could get an ease out in it, and just drilling it out would relieve some of that pressure around it, make it weaker to where an ease out would work. Nope. So got it just under the thread size and then just started chipping away at it. Then used a tap, broke a tap. Then used another tap that was messed up, not that great. Broke 2 taps in here, trying to kind of clear the threads out. And to be honest, I wasn't even putting that much pressure on them. These taps they took a beating when I had to tap through some weld, and they're just not the best. So this one, once it broke, what I did is took it over to my grinder, kind of remade it shorter. It's not perfect right there because it broke uneven, but it worked. And got the threads cleared out, and we've got they're not the best at the front, like the first couple threads, but we got good threads after that. My punch kind of messed them up a little bit, but they're good. These bolts are actually 1/4 inch longer, so they'll go deeper than the original bolts. There's still plenty of clearance for them, so they're not too long, but spent way too much time on that. Now we're going to clean up this surface here and make sure it's in good shape, ready for exhaust manifold gasket. I've got, after this cleared up and this head's been hot, as far as heating it and stuff, a lot of this leftover carbon is just kind of flaking off. So I'm going to take a wire brush and just kind of run over it and just kind of clean this thing up. I'm waiting on some expansion plugs to plug off the air pipe right here. And yeah, so then I need to go clean the cylinder head up, clean the intake, manifold, mating, surface, and just kind of get all that ready to go. And then I think we'll be about ready to reassemble the head. So I'm going to do my cleaning all before I start putting, valve springs and valves back in it. So this is the bucket I used to transfer stuff from parts washer, and this stuff was just caked on there. It ended up, I mean, it loosened it up, but it didn't take it off. And so been at work on my bench grinder with the brass wheel, and I mean, it looks dirty, but it's clean. That makes sense. It just needs to be sprayed off. Same thing with the rocker arms. They're all cleaned up. I'm gonna have to manually try to brush the inside, so they may not be as clean as the rest of it, but ultimately this is definitely the cleanest part of this engine. And the springs are all cleaned up, so I'm gonna take some work with the wire brush and just kind of get they're probably still gonna be black, but we'll get the grunginess off the inside and do the best we can. Push rods are cleaned up. These are all straight. They just ran a wire through the inside, sprayed them with brake clean or a carb cleaner through the inside, and then we just need to do a final cleanup of everything, because what happens is you get the stuff off, but my hands were black doing this, and now, if you believe it or not, I've cleaned my hands to record, but all of it was worse than that. So I mean, you get everything just filthy touching it, and so yeah, all this will spray off with some brake cleaner. So the plan is get the rest of everything cleaned up, clean this bucket up, put everything in here, spray everything off, wipe it down, and put it in a clean location, and then we'll be done. So I'm going to take some time though and put the keepers. I got this little thing here. We're going to move the keepers over to here, and I'm going to spray them with some brake cleaner and kind of clean them up a little bit with that little brass brush, and continue on. 10,000 hours later, we've got the head cleaned up. My pretty lapped valve seats got all dirty. I just hit them with some brake cleaner real quick. Clean them up. I'll do them one more time before I drop the valves in. But we're almost ready to do that. Now that I've got the exhaust bolts out, I think I can set the head on the exhaust side and work on it, put the valves in, hopefully. And if not, I'll figure something out, put some wood blocks and put it on the intake side. But I've carted this thing around, back and forth around the shop, and I'm going to tell you, it's pretty heavy. I'm tired of carrying this thing around. But to the parts washer, over to the torch, over, in a pan to rinse it. I mean, it's been all over the place, and it's finally clean. Took a scraper, scraped all the gasket stuff off, checked it. It's flat. It's not warped or anything. Checked it with straight edge, and took a wire brush to it, and it's in great shape. There's some pitting here, and I don't know if that's rust pitting. I'm almost leaning towards detonation, but I may be wrong. It could be just some rust, but that one's not the best, but it is what it is. So it's ready. It's ready to be reassembled. All that stuff is as clean as I'm going to get it. Take that back. It's going to get a final spray when I take it out of this pan. It will get sprayed off with brake cleaner and then put on. So, but for the most part, it's about what it's going to be. This stuff is just impossible to get off. I mean, it is like it's stuck. You might as well be trying to get, I don't know. I mean, it's even more than paint. And it may just be that there's so many layers of it. I just don't know. I got this with the wire wheel, so that's why the outsides look so good. I just can't get in there. Like, I can get in there with the brush, and yeah, like I said, it is what it is. It's pretty good, and it's much better than the other side, and we're not tearing into the other side other than replacing a push rod. I may pull the push rods off and just clean them and make sure they're clear, just for my own peace of mind, make sure they're not stopped up. But yeah, all right, time to put those in here. Well, hopefully y'all could see everything. We've got it assembled. If you're going to be doing this more than once, I mean, you can get by with one of those spring compressors, but that thing is awesome. So the head is ready to go back on. Like to, because this thing has been stripped down of all oil with between parts washer, the torch, heating these, and brake cleaner, everything. I like to, when I'm done, I spray and wipe down anything I don't want to rust with WD-40, and that keeps it from rusting, so flash rusting. So that's what I did, and then I just wiped off the extra too, with a rag. It doesn't hurt anything. It dissolves in oil. So that's just transmission assembly goo. It's the really thick stuff. It's thicker than wheel bearing grease. I like using that. It works great. And I don't know if you saw, I just shoved my keepers down in there for the cylinder that I'm working on, and then I just scoop a little out, the green stuff, and put them on. They stay right where you put them. Works great. All right, now I just need to clean the block up